Good afternoon. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Woo! It's a Monday. It's 4:30. It's Aretha playing Respect. All right, that was Respect by Aretha. I feel like that's a song that everybody should recognize and know. Good Monday to all. Good Monday to all. Thank you for joining me. We're not going to be in here long today, but wanted to talk about the importance of anti-bias work, and specifically this intersection of anti-bias work and how it has been showing up for me in my own personal and professional life at the intersection of gender, and in particular gender and race for me, in particular misogynoir and intersectionality. So one of the reasons that Sarah and I decided to call the business the Anti-Bias Educator, and we didn't go with anti-racism, is because we wanted to talk about more than just race, even though we do focus a lot on race, because we recognize that people of color have interwoven identities, right? And that our interwoven identities intersect and interact with all of our other identities, right? And that if we stop things at the beginning, which is where the anti-bias piece comes in, right? Like if we're able to stop things at their infancy, at the beginning, when they're forming at these little tiny snowballs, right? Which is the bias, right? If we're able to stop the snowballs from forming, they won't continue to accumulate and roll down the hill into these avalanches that become racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, all these big things. And so we wanted to, instead of putting our work at the bottom of the mountain, put our work more at the top of the mountain and try to help educators be preventative in their care and their education practices versus trying to then triage after the damage has happened. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of anti-bias work, because I am seeing a lot of triaging happening around me, in particular around gender, and then more specifically around Black girls in that intersectional identity, because anti-bias work isn't happening. It is unfortunate that there are a lot of people who still believe in this adage of boys will be boys. And it is not an adage that I grew up with, right? So I was born in the mid-'80s, and my mother was an educator. My mother is an educator. Like, she has not stopped just because she finally retired this year. But I grew up in a household where, even though my father was in the military, we did not have very strict gender roles. Like, when we were younger, my dad was our primary caregiver. Like, he picked us up from school. He's the one that ironed our clothes. He cooked our dinner. Because my mom was down there teaching her little heart out to them kids. And so, you know, my mom was the better cook, I'm not gonna lie though. And then the roles flipped. Once we hit middle school and them hormones kicked in, my dad was like, ooh, nope, tap out. I don't know these kids no more. Helen, these your kids. Tag, you back in. But we did not have very strong, like, gender roles. Like, to this day, my brother can definitely keep a house cleaner than I can. I used to, like, bribe him to do my cleaning because I was like, ooh, can you clean my room for me, bro? Like, your room is immaculate. I'm over here. I just want to read my book in peace. I don't want to vacuum. Can you just help us out? Thank you. And it was fine. Like, my parents treated us as individuals, and like, they did not find out what gender I was. A lot of my toys as an infant were gender neutral. And it was just whatever we gravitated to, and they nurtured our interest. I just was not a very physical child in any stretches of the means, since didn't like to run around and be outside and all that stuff. I just would rather be in a corner reading a book. That was me. But so I just didn't grow up with that sense of, like, this is what a girl does and this is what a boy does. That was not in my direct household. Now, very much there was extended family that tried to push that onto us. Very much had a cousin that was like, oh my God, Stephanie, I have to make a lady out of you. You were just so uncouth. It's me like, okay, girl, all right. Definitely during the 90s, you know, everybody matched. So it was me, my brother, and I had a male cousin. Like, we all had matching outfits, like everything, all of it. We just matched all the time. And so it's just not a thing that I experienced in my day-to-day reality of, it just wasn't a thing. And so it hurts my heart to see bad behavior being excused solely on gender, of like, well, you know, I just, you know, boys, you know, like, no, I don't, and I really don't. Like, I'm not feigning ignorance. Like, I legitimately don't have a framework to pull from. I don't understand. I do not understand. I don't have a framework to understand of, like, I don't understand when you say, well, boys. I do not understand that, because that was not the framework that I was given. So I don't understand. And what I am seeing right now, without going into too much detail, is just really bad behavior. And if it was stopped and these children were held accountable, right? This is the moment. These are the, right? This is when we can stop it at the snowball, right? And saying, this is unacceptable. This is how we treat people. And these are the reasons why, right? The intervention happens now. Then we can prevent several years down the line of this installation of the subtle message that, one, that these boys will receive the message that it's okay. And it's okay because, well, you're a boy and she's a girl and they're girls and you can do this, and society says it's okay. And I'm saying it's okay as a female educator, and I'm saying it's okay as a male educator, and we're saying it's okay as adults. And then the message that we're sending to the young ladies involved in it is like, it's okay for you to be treated as this, and there's nothing that you can do about it, even though you reached out to an adult who was supposed to be there to protect and advocate for you. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, you shouldn't have said anything. Matter of fact, you actually made it worse by saying anything. So next time, don't even say anything. Just sit there and take it. Because, you know, boys, right? Just boys. Right? Or even having to appeal to adults and say to them, like, well, what if this was your daughter or your sister or your mother? Like, this having to personalize it in that way is so mind-boggling to me, because again, I don't have a framework for understanding it, because it's not my framework of growing up, of like, well, this is just simply bad behavior. We don't talk to people this way. This is just unkind. This is rude. This is not within our school. This is our handbook. This is outside of our behavior, of acceptable behavior. Why are we allowing it? Well, you know, just boys. I don't understand. Could you please explain this to me? You just keep saying, well, boys. I do not understand this. Well, you know, boys. I do not understand. You just keep saying that. Please explain it to me when you say boys. So that is really the importance of like anti-bias work, is interrupting that concept of, well, boys, or well, whatever it is that is at the moment. For me particularly, I'm experiencing this on a gender level right now. But whatever it is of just like, well, da-da-da-da-da, because it reinforces this notion that, well, you know, just, and then the stakes get higher, right? Because children are children, right? And they learn, if I can get away with this, well, the next time I'll add this, and the next time I'll add this. And as long as I keep getting reinforced that there's not really any consequence outside of saying like, oh, I'm sorry, and that's the only real consequence, and I'm not really understanding that why what I'm doing is problematic, and there's no real accountability. Like, you are harming someone in our community, and we just don't do that, right? Like, this is unacceptable behavior. We don't treat people this way. Bottom line. And that's the importance of anti-bias work, because if we don't interrupt it now, this is how you end up again with those massive avalanches. At the end of the day, that's how you end up with those big things, right? So over the summer, in the independent school world, you had all these Black ad accounts with all these horrible, horrible stories of these racist incidents that happened over the years. And this is how you get those things that happened and snowballed and snowballed and snowballed, because nobody ever interrupted the small moments, the small comments, the small things, because people were just like, well, you know, they didn't mean it like that. They didn't. But you have to interrupt those small moments, and that's the purpose of anti-bias work, because when you stop and interrupt those small moments, you stop the little small snowball from the whole train of thought went from snowballing, right, into this massive avalanche, because that's how an avalanche gets started. It's just this little small thing, and then it avalanches down. And that's the purpose of anti-bias work, right? You stop it here before it grows into that. And that's the importance of the work, because it seems small and it seems innocuous, but then it grows and it spirals, because if there's never any consequences, then what's to stop me from doing something bigger and worse and more, because I'm never held accountable, right? And that's why we've got to do it. And that's why we've got to teach and talk with the children of what, like, these are the reasons why. Here's the explanations. We don't use this language. We don't talk to people this way. We don't. Because we're a community and we care about each other. Right? So, that is where I am at on this lovely Monday afternoon. That is why the work of anti-bias is so, so, so important. Both are needed. You gotta stop it before it starts. And then we are also in places where it's already started. So you've gotta have people that are up at the top of the mountain trying to stop the snowballs. And you gotta have people that are down at the bottom trying to do the avalanche triage, right? So the anti-bias educator is purposely focused on being at the top of the mountain, trying to stop the snowballs, doing the dodging of like, ah! And that's really the importance of anti-bias work. I hope that you all are having a great Monday. We are still in Native American History Month. We are actually going to be putting out some resources towards the end of the month. It took us a while to put some things together because a lot of the resources, unfortunately, are dated, and we were really intentional about pulling resources that featured Indigenous voices. There are a lot of people speaking for Indigenous people, and we wanted to make sure that we were not doing that. So within either next week or the week after, we're going to be putting out a resource because even though the month will be over, you can still celebrate Indigenous people and their history and their culture. You don't have to just do it in November. We will not be having a live next Monday, but we will be back the Monday after that. I believe that's all the announcements that we have for right now. The website is coming. It'll be up in about 2 weeks. So we are excited. Thank you for coming and spending time with me. I hope that you have a great rest of your week. If you are working on issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, as always, feel free to reach out to us. You can find us on social media at the Anti-Bias Educator. We are happy to help. Until next time, again, remember next Monday we will not be with you, but we'll be back the Monday after that. See you then. Until then, sending you warm love and light.